Hello, lovely listener, and welcome to yet another episode of Friday Night Chill with Will. I'm Will, and I hope you are all having a good Friday. Not the Good Friday that was last week, but I hope you are having a regular Good Friday. Mine has not happened yet because this is a pre-recorded podcast, but we'll just say it's pretty good because I got an episode up today, so we'll count that as a win. So I got a quick question for y'all to open up the episode to start. So I started doing that whole lovely listener thing, and I gotta know, what do you guys think of that? Because it was a thing I just kind of started doing, and I wasn't sure. I'm still not sure if I like it. I am trying to experiment with stuff, and I just kind of wanted a bit of a different intro to the show. So, yeah, that was just kind of the thing I landed on. So, let me know what you think about that in the comments section down below. I always enjoy hearing your guys' thoughts and opinions on the things I'm doing. And if something sucks, I don't want to keep doing it. So, I would appreciate if you guys would call me out on that stuff, if it does suck. If not, then that's great, and we're all having a good time. So, anywho, yeah, man, this week has been a week. Let me tell you, today is the first day all week where I have finally felt some semblance of normal again, because, Easter happened this past weekend, and that was fine. I went to my dad's with my sister, and we did brunch. And, it was a whole little thing, and that was perfectly fine. And then Monday happened. And Monday was just a whole slew of fuckery. So I've said this on my Instagram stories, so if you follow me on there, then you are already aware of this tale. But for my podcast listeners, I'm going to tell the story again. And I could kind of go into a little bit more detail about everything. This apartment here is not new by any means, and I have lived here for quite a while, and everything is not updated to the newest thing. There's just little problems here and there. One problem we've been having pretty consistently is just kind of with the plumbing. Something at some point will go wrong during the month, and that's been happening pretty consistently the past few months. Some stupid leak or some dumb thing will happen. Just something where it requires a plumber to be called out. And it's pretty obnoxious, and it's just been very annoying. And, the end of the month was coming up. We're getting ready to hit rent, the first of the month. And I was like, all right, that's pretty good. We almost hit a month without something fucking up. That's pretty cool. And sure enough, Monday, April 1st, April Fool's Day, making a fool out of me. That's what that day was doing. So I get up in the morning, go to the bathroom, standard morning order of operations. I do notice a bit of water on the floor near the toilet, but, my sister gets ready for work before me on Monday mornings, and so I just figure, she was washing her hands, maybe some water got on the floor. No big deal. And, I don't really think too much of it. So, do my business. I go take my sister to work, and I come back home. And I go back into the bathroom because I still have a couple hours to kill, so I wanted to start getting ready for work and all that. And I look, and I notice there's even more water on the floor. And I'm just like, God, something leaking. And I look, and I check the bottom of my toilet, and it would appear at this moment that water is leaking from the bottom of my toilet. So I'm like, all right, work. And so at this point, I'm just like, all right, well, this needs to get fixed today. I don't have time to dance around with, figuring out when someone can be home so the plumber can be here and fix this. I would rather just take care of it today. So I make the decision to call out of work, and, I do that. I take care of that. And so that's a thing, and it's not too bad at first. Not horrible. But then, I turn off the water. I notice like it kind of keeps getting worse. And I'm just like, all right, well, I just got to kind of tough it out and wait for the plumber to get here. And, hopefully I won't be drowning by the time he gets here. So the plumber shows up. This is like most of the day has gone by. He shows up at like 1:30. And, he does his thing. He, takes the toilet off the floor. And I think he ends up replacing a ring or something. What I learned from this, actually, from this first visit, was that the plumber that was in my bathroom last time, yeah, he didn't do everything he was supposed to. So that was cool to know. Because you know how if you look in your bathroom, you'll notice the bottom of your toilet usually gets a bead of sealant around it, like silicone or something. Yeah, my toilet did not have that for like a month or two. So it does now, but it didn't have it before this first plumber showed up. So he does this thing for like an hour and a half. My landlord is notorious for sending people to work on my apartment that their first language is not English, and they don't really speak it much at all. So when it comes to communicating with them, I can't really do fuck all. Or if anything, it's through miming, which is incredibly frustrating, especially if you're having like a very specific issue. It's really, annoying not being able to talk to the person fixing your shit. But alas, I was able to communicate semi more effectively than normal with this particular guy. So he did his thing. Hour and a half goes by. He leaves. And I check. I'm like, all right, there's no water on the floor. It's got a seal and everything. Everything should be good, right? Okay, cool. I guess that problem was fixed. I'll go back to work tomorrow. Great. A few hours go by. I start trying to make more of a dent in my X-Men watch through. I'm on season 4. I'm on season 4. I think I'm in the middle of it. We're almost there. There's only like 7 episodes in season 5, so we're right at the finish line. We're almost there. And a few hours go by. It's probably like 7-8 o'clock, and I go and walk towards the bathroom. And I notice water on the floor again. And this time, it's gone from outside of my bathroom to my bedroom. Luckily, everything in my apartment is either wood floors or tile. So that's cool. But it still got into my bedroom. And it was pretty bad. It was even worse than it had been that morning. So that was cool. So I call my landlord again, and I tell him, hey, problem's still not fixed, and it's even worse now, actually. So so can we get someone down here? And he tells me they can have someone there at noon tomorrow. The water is off in the toilet, and it is still leaking. And I'm just like, what am I supposed to do? So I start trying to mop up the water. I start putting towels down. And I do what I can to try and slow this leak down. I end up having probably the most stressful night of sleep in a while because it was still leaking. And it was still getting in my room. So luckily my sister was home, so I just went to bed and I told her, hey, I can't be calling off work again tomorrow because of a fucking leak in the apartment. This is fucking dumb. It was already dumb that I called off work that day. So, just try and keep an eye on it. And so she did. And, I woke up in the next morning and it was just two puddles, like just puddles, in the bathroom and like right outside of it, going into my bedroom. And it was just, luckily the towels were there, but they were just completely drenched and soaked and practically floating in these puddles. They were hardly doing anything. And it was incredibly frustrating and annoying. And so I start trying to mop up some stuff because I'm trying to do it quickly because I'm going to work. I just tell my sister, hey, stay home today and wait for the plumber. And you'll be home while he's here. And so I do what I can to just try and get some of the water. It's still coming. It's not incredibly fast, but it certainly feels like I'm not making a dent in whatever the fuck is happening. And so I do what I can for a few minutes and, brush my teeth, whatever. And then I go in my closet to start getting my clothes for the day. And then I notice some water on the floor. And then I look to my right and I notice one of the boxes of Ranger stuff I have is wet. And I was just like, you have got to be kidding me. And so I slide the box over and it was definitely wet. And I move a bunch of other stuff that was there. And there was water leaking into my fucking closet. I don't know how. I still don't understand what exactly happened. But I was just distressed at this point because I'm just like, it's like 10 times worse than it had been the day before. And that's just great. So take a picture of it, send it to my landlord, let him know, hey, there's water in the closet now too. I need someone here sooner than noon. And so, he said he was going to work on that. And got ready for work. And I went anyway. And I just told my sister, keep an eye on it, so that way the whole fucking apartment doesn't end up underwater. Eventually we find out that it was something to do with my neighbor's unit. Typically, when it comes to plumbing issues, it all happens over there. I don't know why. I think maybe they have a lot of the main hubs for all of the plumbing. So if something goes wrong in the entire building, I think maybe it just starts there. I don't know the specifics of it. But regardless, it ended up being more of a problem over there because the other plumber that came out, he wasn't really in here very long. He just kind of mostly cleaned up and wrung out a lot of the towels. He ultimately fixed the problem. That was great. He was there at my neighbor's for a couple hours, I guess, according to my sister. And he got that problem fixed and he went on his merry way. And we have just been spending the past couple days trying to dry out all the towels that we used because we used a lot. And man, that whole thing, that was 2 whole days of just pure fuckery that just totally threw off like the beginning of this week, like just the start of this week. So the entire week has felt off. And then like yesterday I wasn't like feeling too great. I kind of felt like not really sick. My sister got sick, but I think she's mostly over it. But it was probably just from being around all that freaking weird water and stuff. But regardless, it got fixed and we're here now, and there is no leaks. There's nothing weird happening, and that's great. That's terrific. But yeah, that's been mostly my week. So yeah, I've just been out of it, dude, and it's been kind of shitty. Not gonna lie. I wish I had been in a better mood for most of the week, but I was just exhausted from dealing with all of that, and it's just really stressful, especially when stuff like that happens, like with water and stuff. Like it's just, water can be such an annoyance if it gets in your house, and like things can get ruined so easily with water, and it's such a hassle. Luckily, the box of Ranger stuff that got wet was just a bunch of Megazord pieces, and this is one of the boxes that I have that I, for whatever reason at the time, decided to line with a plastic bag. So, yeah, that was a good job for past me. I get a high five for that. So nothing really got wet. There were like a couple pieces that just felt a little damp, but it was just pure plastic that got wet. It wasn't like anything with stickers on it or anything. So it was good. It's good news all around. Nothing ultimately got damaged or anything like that. It was just a very annoying Monday and Tuesday this week, and then Wednesday was just kind of a drag. And now we're here and we're good. So, but yeah, man. Anyway, that's pretty much been my whole week. Has been that. Not much else has been going on. I got a couple Transformers this past weekend. They're guest starring this episode, I guess, because I forgot that I put them there. But yeah, they had this 2-pack of Ironhide. Yes, Ironhide and Prowl. Are you Prowl? Yeah, you're Prowl. They're corpses from the Transformers movie. You could tell because Ironhide has that "I just died" expression on his face. Well, and Prowl too. He has it. Well, he has that permanent "I'm scared because I'm about to get shot and die" face. So, yeah, these guys are fun. They were cool. I got them for like $15, so that's like a steal for 2 deluxe Transformers nowadays. Super sick. And then, speaking of Transformers, this morning, Billy, friend of the show, if you remember, he was on the Transformers episode a few weeks back, last month, something like that. He sent me pictures of the new Sideburn figure from Robots in Disguise that got leaked because it's a Hasbro product, so of course it got leaked. And he looks really good. His robot mode looks really, really good. I'll put a picture here if I remember. But yeah, his robot mode looks fantastic. He is a remold or repaint of a figure that is out already, or maybe the figure that's out is a remold of him. I don't know exactly the order of how they go about making these figures. With the way the chest is, I think Sideburn was probably the first character they had in mind for this mold. But I digress. This is just semantics. I thought this vehicle mode, I thought it was going to have a heavier retool on the mold than what it ends up being. It kind of is the mold that exists already, just with the paint job of the old Sideburn toy, which I guess is fine. The Legacy Transformers figures aren't like 1-1 recreations most of the time. They're just like really strongly updated versions of those figures and characters, and typically they do their best to try and at least capture the spirit of both modes correctly. I mean, his robot mode looks fantastic, so I have no notes there. He looks great. I'm super stoked to get him whenever he comes out, and I'm really excited to see what they do with the other 2 Autobot brothers, X-Brawn, and I think that one is Prowl too. Yeah, there's a lot of Prowls in Transformers, and they all look different and are different characters. So, but yeah, that was kind of something cool that happened this week. Any other stuff? Ranger stuff happened, but it was mostly annoying stuff. Power Morphicon decided to announce Austin St. John as a guest for the con, which I'm not really surprised by, but people are still annoyed by that. I gotta tell you guys, the longer I have been off Twitter and not being around Ranger community nearly as much as I have been the past decade or so, yeah, I'm kind of feeling not really stepping back into it ever again, because I'm just so tired of, like, there's so many people in that community that just prioritize money over everything, and that's just in every community. That's just a problem in the world. It's just people value money so much that they can't take a stand for anything. And the whole thing with this dude is, if you're unaware, he was recently on a podcast with some fucking voiceover actor. He does like I think he's like one of the voices for Tigger in Winnie the Pooh, I think. But he was on a podcast with this dude, and he was plugging his shit at the end of the episode, like you do on a podcast. And he mentions like this clothing line that he wants to start. It's called a Warrior, line, and it's going to be used, and it's going to be a clothing line inspired by quotes from different warriors from throughout history. And the key point here is that they're pulling from warriors both good and bad. And so I guess like the main focus of these quotes, or the main focus of these shirts, or whatever type of clothing this is, would be a quote from such and such warrior, and it'd be like in their native language or whatever. That's the premise I understood based off how he described it. And the wildest way he could intro this was using Hitler quotes as an example, which is crazy. So he pretty much came out the gate, saying like, yeah, like I would even use a Hitler quote, because he was a demon on steroids. This is a direct quote. He was a demon on steroids, but he had some pretty good one-liners, which is fucking insane to say. And honestly, that's such a straight person thing to say, a straight man thing to say, because what the fuck even is that? Like, what is that? It's so inherently stupid, and this man just does not have a publicity team behind him, or even person behind him, that like checks any of the shit that he does. And no one tells him, hey, maybe this is a stupid idea, which I think is helpful. I think that's very helpful to have people in your life that can tell you if something you're thinking about doing is a stupid idea. I think that's fair. But I guess that's asking a lot. And never mind the fact that this dude's on bail. I think he's on bail right now for one of his criminal trials. I think he has one or two. I can't remember. I know he has the COVID loan fraud thing, which a lot of people are writing off a lot, which is very, I don't know. People write off so much for like an actor or someone they saw on TV, and it's just like, why the fuck do you care so much about this person in this way? Like, they can do shitty things. The only thing that's different about them is that they're on TV, or were on TV at some point. I don't understand. I don't understand this whole idolization type of mentality people have with, especially with Ranger actors. I've met Ranger actors before, and it's great. It's awesome meeting people that you've seen on TV and stuff, and that like to some degree you have a connection with either them or their character or whatever. I think it's fun. It's super great. But I don't know, man. People idolize weird shit. I just can't get behind it. But alas, anyway, that whole thing happened. I thought it was stupid. I told the owner of Power Morphicon, I'm like, I really hope you'll reconsider this, because, I mean, just booking this man after he said what he said is just kind of a bad reflection on you. And the thing that sucks is just there's so many immature people in the Power Rangers fandom, because so many of those people don't know how to regulate their own emotions, so they just fly off the handle when something's really bad happens, and they don't do it in a way that's productive towards any kind of resolution that can happen. because the freaking owner of Power Morphicon was getting death threats from people for inviting Austin St. John. And it's just like, okay, pull back a little bit. Maybe that's not the thing to do. Maybe just tell the dude, A, I don't think you should be inviting the guy who is thinking of putting Hitler quotes on clothing, you know? And then maybe leave out the part where you tell the person to kill themselves. Maybe just leave that part out, because I don't think that part is actually very helpful and good for your cause. But whatever. It's a bunch of terminally online nerds. What are you going to do? There's not much you can do. And that's something I've learned. And that's why I have stepped away from it. Because they are not worth any of that trouble, really. So I don't know how Morphicon's looking now, which kind of sucked. I really do. We have one person, we have one Ranger actor that has heard what has happened and has said that they do not want to go to Morphicon now if Austin St. John goes. So I'm hoping more Ranger alumni follow that example and do the same thing, so that way they just uninvite him. Because the thing is, he might not even be a free man by the time August rolls around, because his trial will have happened. And so might be in jail for all we know. So I don't know why they announced him this early on anyway. I would have just waited until like a couple weeks before, but I don't know. They don't have marketing people behind this fucking convention. It's just a bunch of people doing whatever. But I don't know. The whole thing's wacky, and I'm really questioning whether or not I want to go. I know there are friends of mine that are flying in from out of the country to come visit America. So I definitely want to hang out with them while they're here, but I don't know if I want to participate in the convention. So I don't know. That's still up in the air, and we'll see. Maybe things will improve in the next few weeks. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, man, not much else is happening. So I think we're gonna cut it here. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight, you guys. I realize this was probably just a bit ranty. It was a bit of a story time. But yeah, I hope the story was entertaining for you all, because it surely wasn't entertaining for me. And can I just say, I hate water. I hate water in so many facets now. I will go out of my way to avoid water in any possible way now. If it's raining, I am staying the fuck in my house. I just do not want to be around water if it's not taking a shower, or brushing my teeth or whatever. Something to that capacity. But everything else involving water, as of recently, just with the way the weather's been and all these plumbing issues, I've had it. Water's rotted. It's done. I'm over it. And she's got to go. She's got to go. We got to replace her with something. I don't know. Replace her with hydrogen. Anyway, I'm just saying stupid shit. Anyway, so thank you so much for listening tonight, you guys. If you liked the episode, go ahead and give it a thumbs up if you're on YouTube, and subscribe to the channel if you're new here. If you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or any of those other podcast hosts, rate and review the podcast. Those are always appreciated. I do see all those things that you guys do, even if it's just a rating. I notice when the rating changes, and it is very much appreciated from me when you guys do those things. And if you want to keep up with me on my social media journey, so you can see all of these riveting plumbing adventures as they happen, you can follow me on Instagram, Blue Sky, TikTok, Snapchat. I have links in the description box below. It's all at Willie J. Co. Follow me on all those places, and I think that'll be it. So thanks so much for watching, you guys, and I will see you next week for another Friday Night Chill.